300 Earth and Water is a game featured on the rallythetroops.com website. Come check it out with us as we explore this very interesting and fun game here on Legendary Tactics.
All right, so you are the Persian player.
Yeah, and you're taking the
Greece.
Oh my gosh, the Greeks.
Yes, the
The
Greeks.
powerful 300.
Yes.
So Sparta and Athens are yours, and I'm down in the south there.
Yeah, so this will be an example of gameplay. I'm gonna do another video on how to play this game because it's kind of a neat game actually that I hadn't even heard of until we came across it in the rallythetroops.com website.
Yeah, we saw all the great games there. We both love the system that it has set up for as far as how you play, and we just thought, let's dive into these a bit more. So we're hoping to feature some more as well. You'll give the viewers a chance to see some of the other games that they have as well.
Yes. So we begin the first campaign, and I've just got my couple fleets and a few troops. It's interesting. It's set up to default so that if we were to just sit here, Greece would get 1 victory point for Corinthos. So the pressure is on the Persian army to actually do something,
to start pushing a bit. Yeah. Well, and it starts with building that bridge eventually.
Yeah. So you start buying some cards.
And I do like my cards.
And then you buy 4 cards.
I got 4 cards there. Yeah, 4 is kind of the number I found just be a bit of a sweet spot for me.
Yeah,
for the Persian side anyway.
Yeah, for sure. So you have make a land movement.
It just puts enough pressure on you as Greece because you only have 6 to play with, 6 actions, and so
yes.
Yeah, you can buy 4 too, but then you're gonna have to be
sacrifice
pretty thin on
some forces for sure.
Yeah.
So you start reinforcing. And what was your goal here? Is just to kind of build your forces up fairly evenly, I guess, or?
Yeah, so I wanted to build up a little bit more on the Abydos side.
Yes.
Because I do plan my plan for the first round was to build up armies a bit, and then second round was to build the bridge across and then start pushing up.
Yeah, I guess what you could do if you didn't have great events is you could just take those fleets and invade Naxos and Eritrea, the 2 islands, or you guess you could go to Pella maybe, something like that.
Yeah, well, I have tried that tack in prior games, and it feels like I wanted to try and stick with this land push approach.
Yeah.
So
let's flip the board and look at things from my perspective.
Yeah, Nate, what were you thinking?
So, well, I saw you buy 4 cards, so I know I have to spend basically 3. I don't want to be too behind on the cards. So I bought 3 cards, and I got Oracle of Delphi, Pausanias, which to me, I mean, it's great. If you play Cavalry of Mardonius event, then awesome. Otherwise, that card's not very useful. And then Artemisia the First is really interesting because if I eliminate a Persian fleet during a naval battle, it then removes another one from the space, but permanently from the game.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you might be gunning for some naval.
So if you're able to combo that, you can really hobble the Persian fleet a fair bit, especially over the course of a game. So I bought my 3, and then I figured I'd build up a bit evenly. I was looking to move into Thebai or Thebes. But I thought I'd reinforce. It was an uneven reinforcement because I couldn't
because of your 3 cards.
both.
Yeah.
So I just picked Athens to go for.
Okay.
And then it flipped to you. And interestingly, you played Pacification of Babylon or Egypt, so you chose to essentially turn in all these cards.
Well, yeah, because I didn't have a land movement. The choose one city that's not controlled and place 1 Persian. Yeah, I could have done that, but it would have died. Out of supply.
Yeah.
So that was a useless card. And then the last one there until the end of the current, the Greek may Neither.
Yeah, it just freezes Sparta. So
it just freezes. Yeah, I mean, and you didn't even have a lot in Sparta, so I'm like, let's just burn them all.
No,
let's see what happens here. Roll the dice.
I actually agree with that move. That was good. The only problem is there's a sudden death of the great king, and King Darius dies, and that's the end of the first campaign. So
there's round one. I mean, and I know the real bonus for you was those 3 cards you get to keep.
Yes, I get to keep all these cards. So
I had to lose all mine. That's,
well, you could have kept 1, but it would have cost you 2 talents to keep it.
Yeah, but the upside for me was that I got to refresh my 12 talent stock again. So I had.
Now I got my 1 victory point because of Corinthos. As I said, like if you just stay still, the Greeks will win. So you have to
move forward.
You have to move forward. So I scored my point, and that was it. There was really we didn't really even get to do very much. It was your first card that you played. So
that's
I know
right. Literally, that's right.
So you were under pressure here because I had 3 cards ahead of you.
Yeah. No, there was a bit of uncomfort definitely right now because I'm thinking, I gotta at least get 4 cards, 5.
Yeah.
I was even towing with 6, but I think is it 6 the max, right?
Yeah, 6 is the most you can purchase.
But I did want to build the land bridge, and I thought, you know what, may as well start pushing.
Yeah, the land bridge is expensive, 6 talents.
The land bridge costs 6, so so I ended up just going with 3 just to match you.
Yep. And it's an interesting cards like Acropolis on Fire. That event, I love the idea of it. I almost never have time to play it though.
No, and actually in a previous game, it actually would have come in pretty handy because I actually did take Athens on you.
Yes.
So it actually would have been perfect to have to.
You almost never have the opportunity to play it.
To actually take Athens and have the card in hand is kind of like pretty fortuitous.
Yeah. So you built the land bridge. So you got 3 talents left, and I guess you just go.
And I went all in. Well, I did want to actually buff up the naval
fleet.
Presence there because just with by 1 because I knew I was going to be marching with, and I wanted a little buffer. Just in case Sparta or Athens got any funny ideas.
Yeah. Now that was actually a really good move, and the reason why was because. You built the land bridge, but I can't get to Pella, or I have to go through Thebai, Larissa, and I need units to do that in order to hold that territory. And at the same time, I have to make sure I don't leave Athens or Sparta too weak, right? So that was actually that put some nice pressure on, more pressure than if you'd gone with a fleet action. Because now,
what I did notice is that really Larissa is the choke point.
It is.
So I mean, Pella you can get kind of for free, and if you bog down in Larissa, then basically that's your supply is safe up till there.
Yes. Yep. You got it.
So
that was so I bought 3 cards. And that gave me 6 cards in hand. I thought, wow.
Yeah, was your idea here just to keep ahead of me in cards and
yes, I was hoping to be able to do that for the whole game ideally, or to at least make you expend so much on cards to keep up with me that it was going to be you weren't going to be able to have a massive kind of army.
You got the Oracle there.
I got the Oracle.
That's a great card.
Yeah, it is, except I really like that support from Syracuse because you can replace all of your fleets with 1 card.
And Oracle's slightly different than mine because mine I can cherry pick which ones I want.
Yeah, this one is
all
discard
the cards
all of them. So in this case, it's not that useful.
So what you have to do is just use that support from Syracuse.
Yes, but I didn't have any dead. Like I could have used it just with the 2 fleets.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But your fleets are already.
Yeah. So what should I do? So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to build. I'm going to build another fleet and balance that out. I'm going to just try and because I was figuring I'd be carrying 2 or 3 cards forward every turn. So I built up Athens with a view of taking Thebes and taking Larissa or Delphi, depending.
Right.
But hopefully Larissa, I'd have some strength there, and I could cut off Delphi from you was my thought, because I knew where you were going, and you know where.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, the writing was pretty apparent.
Yeah, and you know where I was going, and I knew that you knew where I was going.
Yeah. It was basically a race to Pella.
Yeah, basically. So
or Larissa, right? Yeah.
So so then you did your first move, which was to pay for movement.
Yep.
And you moved
three units up into Pella.
There. Yeah, which is
realizing they only have 3 cards. I don't have a lot to play with.
No, and you got to keep make sure that you don't weaken your home.
And I need to be very mindful of the supply line and how much I can.
Well, not only that, the threat of having 2 troops in Athens with 2 fleets there is that if you were to weaken, it would be a risk on my part, but if you had weakened Abydos too much, I could have struck. If I got lucky, I could have wiped out the bridge.
That's right.
Then you would.
That's right. And you don't want. It's too much of an investment to lose that bridge. So
yeah. So I just played this Pausanias for movement, and I thought, okay, well let's just take Thebes with some strength, Thebai, and then that left you to respond with the tribute of earth and water, which was I think a great play, because it allowed you to get into Larissa.
Right
here. Sorry, the map keeps flipping back and forth here, but
okay.
Maybe I'll do that just more manually here. But it allowed you to get into Larissa without weakening Pella or anything. Like, you still had a force there to be reckoned with, which was good.
Right, and I can always push up with it. So
yeah, and I couldn't weaken it, so I played Evangelion. I was hoping to get a victory to score a point immediately. And
nice.
And crush you. So I did a 2-on-1, and I should have played Militades, because that would have given me more dice, but I lost the first battle, and then finally I won the battle in the end. So I scored a free point, but it was a bit it was a bit nerve-wracking. So, and then you had the opportunity to play the Immortals, which you did not have. Oh no, sorry.
I think I do have it.
Oh, you did have it. Yes, sorry, you did. Yeah, that's right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, bottom half of the card. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I know. Got to get used to that. There it is.
You came back with a vengeance, and you rolled better than I did, and you booted me out.
Yeah. So, now I think that was maybe a potential misplay. Because it was only to replace 1 unit, and you can replace up to 3.
Yeah, but yes. I mean,
and no. I got the result I was hoping for. So
yeah. The only problem with it is that it left you with no cards in hand. So I had 4 cards here, and and
you're unabated now. Really, you can do what you want.
I thought, well, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna see if I can just kick you out, because I wanted to just kick you out if I could. And so I thought, well, I'll play Militades, and then that gives me enough die to make sure that it
happens.
It's gonna get you, and it did. And so that put me in a spot where you had 1 victory point. I had 3, so it was a net 2 for me.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Which is all right.
And I had to lose 2 military.
Yeah, and you had to lose 2 troops, which I was fine with. So
yeah, I'll bet you were.
and I still had 2 cards. It's a little bit of an edge, right? So
yeah, like at this point, I was thinking you were in pretty good control here.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was.
I mean, you didn't have a lot of. Well, you don't have a lot of troops, really.
No, you don't. Down, like really, you have enough to control roughly the amount of territory that I have now. Any more than that, you're kind of pushing it. So it's you're just you got to be careful. So
right.
So let's take a look at your side here. So you're buying up some cards. And you bought up 5 cards.
5 cards this time, because I had big plans. I had big plans for this round.
Yeah, and you got Tribute of Earth and Water. That one's great. A couple of them, actually.
Yep.
Royal Road, just to protect your thing at home. And then you could discard as many cards as you wish, but you learned from the first one.
Yeah, that's right. Be mindful of that. So.
Yes. and a cavalry of Mardonius, which
actually that's not a bad. That's a pretty good one because
that one's a really good one.
Nullifies your die advantage.
Yes, it gives you more or less victory. And then you started reinforcing, and you put a lot into Pella. You got some navy up, and
I'm not sure if that was the strongest play. Maybe I should have put more back into Abydos, but
well, yes and no. The thing is with that play, what it accomplished is it establishes a threat that you can attack Sparta, Athens, with a full force. And even though it could have weakened
there's three different locales where it could come from, right? That's the thing I wasn't thrilled with, because I thought maybe I should have, or looking at it in hindsight, maybe
in hindsight, I would have built the third fleet in Ephesos.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because you could safely transport 3 troops away from Ephesos. And it wouldn't have cost you the bridge, because right now your threat is coming from Abydos. But if you did attack, say, Sparta, I could counterattack from Athens and potentially take out your land bridge, and that would be a big loss.
That'd be yeah.
So that's the only thing that struck me about that. So we'll flip over back to me, and so I'm going to buy up 3 cards.
3 more cards yourself. You want to?
It's an arms race. I have to.
It is an arms race.
But also, to be fair, I don't have that many. If you look, I've only got 4 units to buy.
Right.
So I didn't really have a ton of units to purchase. So, and I had support from Syracuse, so I knew that fleet was purchasable with a card.
Yeah.
So I didn't really need more than 3. But the only problem was I lost my card advantage to you.
Yeah, that's now been nullified. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Oh, you got that Evangelion,
yeah. So that's kind of a good one to maybe. But you had 4 units in Pella, so it wasn't that useful, at least at this stage.
Right.
But I thought, well, I got to lock down Larissa, and maybe in retrospect, I should have put some more troops there. Maybe I should have left Athens and Sparta. But this is where your fleets there were a bit of a threat. I'm like, I got to watch my back 40 here, because you could charge in and zip around, right? So if I overcommitted to Larissa, it would have made the other spots weaker and harder to recapture and all that stuff. So
Yep.
So that's So it wasn't an easy decision that way. That's what is really fun about this game. It's not a hard game.
No,
There's
not
a
at
lot
all.
of like
No.
decision
but
points.
It's a real puzzle, though. It's a real puzzle-y kind of game.
Yeah. So, so you went with the Cavalry of Mardonius, which is again the card that I have a card to cancel it. But I'm like, oh, it's so rare. Who knows?
You're not gonna save it just for that one card, right?
So, and you went in on Larissa with that, which was really, really good. And I didn't have the 300 Spartans or Pausanias to counter it.
Yep.
So I lost one, and then I ended up retreating to save my other unit.
May as well, yeah, because you probably would have lost a second.
Well, it kind of allowed me to kind of cancel your cavalry of Mardonius.
Right. I was thinking that too. Yeah, I thought that at the time. I'm like, oh, he's just doing it to cancel
because then I can. The idea is I can charge back with
a bigger fleet, a bigger
full force without having to deal with that card event
with strength. Yep.
So I went with movement. I discarded this Molon Labe, which interestingly cancels the tribute of earth and water, but which you happen to have 2 of, I believe. Yes, so I didn't know that. So I was like, trying to pick the card I felt was the least beneficial to me, and I wanted to do some movement. And so I thought, well, let's see if I can snipe some fleets, knowing that I have support from Syracuse in hand. Let's see what I can accomplish here. So I managed to get one of them, and then I'm like, ooh, I can play Artemisia the first and remove that other fleet from the game. So I played that one. Now, the downside of that is it left me at a card disadvantage. This is where I lost my card disadvantage to you. Or my card advantage, to you. So that was unfortunate. And then you played, of course, Tribute to Earth and Water to grab Delphi.
Yeah,
and that's really smart. Like I think you grabbed Delphi and Larissa. It didn't cost you anything in terms of positioning. You're still able to hold that choke point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking, oh my gosh, well, how do I respond to that?
Yeah. I mean, taking Larissa's your ideal play, but that's not easy.
So
you don't really have forces to do it.
Yeah. So I thought I might get a cheap point from Evangelion. So I played Evangelion. Or sorry, no, I didn't actually. I was going to, and then I didn't. So I played Movement.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And that's right. I played this first. So I thought, well, I'll send my 2 fleets against your 3. I'm probably going to lose, but maybe I can snipe 1.
And you know full well you're going to get the back. So
yeah, and then I lost 1, and then I lost 2. No, I didn't do any damage on you. That was a bit of a turning point, because if I'd gotten lucky, maybe taken out 1 or 2, that would have been.
That would have really put me behind.
Yes. And then I could have focused purely on the land war, maybe moving into Pella, cutting off your troops there, that kind of thing. I could have done a lot more. So what was your next thought here?
So at this point, it was, I believe that I wanted to have, I needed to get rid of some of those Larissa troops.
Yeah.
Because they were going to get destroyed anyway.
Yes.
So go into Thebe.
Yes.
Try and at least whittle you down. I wasn't expecting a win, but I just thought, even if I can lose.
And you lost 1. And
I think I lost. I think I lost them both, but that was going to happen anyway. So
yeah. Yes.
Now that might have been a bit early to do that move.
Yeah.
But the one card was not relevant. I could have played into an island state, but to what end there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my navy is a bit weaker. So it could have actually been a good move, but I know what you mean with Larissa being weaker in that sense. So
yeah.
So right. So then I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, well maybe I can sneak out I can cut off Delphi in Larissa. So I did play Evangelion here and moved in with 1
for 1,
and I should have maybe moved in with 2, but I thought, well, if I can snipe you here, then I really will score some points and kind of lock you down. And we ended up removing each other.
1 and 1.
So that kept the supply line with Delphi
intact. Yeah.
So, and you didn't have the Immortals. So that I'm like,
and just to shore it up, I did have a card where I could play into an
and of course, you had the other Tribute of Earth and Water, which was the perfect card for this.
Yes,
and just played right into Larissa. And now I didn't have the troops, and we're down to 1 card each. And so now I'm looking at my card, and it's support from Syracuse. I can't use that for army movement. So I had to use it to basically bring my fleets back to life. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm still in a good position.
Maybe you're actually in a position to draw 4 armies or 4 cards next turn, because you only have 2 armies left.
Yeah, exactly. So I did have to lose 1 due to attrition, but but you had the last card play, and so let me just flip the board here. So you played that one just for the movement, and you really had a lot of options here, and you attacked Thebe.
I went kind of ballsy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go for Thebe.
Hey, it was an undefended port.
Yep.
And no, it was a great.
I did
choice.
debate taking Eritrea or
Naxos. Yeah, that would have been fine too. But
I thought, you know what, I'm going to keep pressure on you, and that's why I went there. So that
now you have 4 territories, and I only have the 1 that scores, right? So that's 3 victory points for you. Even though I've got a 4 victory point edge, that puts me really behind the 8 ball. And you had to lose one of the armies in Thebe.
I did have to lose one of these. Yeah. I kind of had expected that I would lose 1 in battle, so I brought 1 extra for the ride.
Yep, yeah. Perfect. So so now, you may have to contend with me raiding from Sparta, for example, or.
Well, I definitely had to bolster Amadeus, and.
So you bought 4 cards, though.
And then leaving me 8 talents left there too.
Yeah, and you got ostracism, the Great King.
Yeah, I love that card. I know
it's
or cards where anything that's going to whittle your deck down is
yes, and especially it disrupts my plans. So
that's right.
This allowed you to kind of rebuild some fleets, rebuild some armies, and that was I think now it may have been worth putting a couple armies in Thebai as well, because
that's the next major, where I'm up against it.
Yeah,
and actually that's a next natural choke point as well.
Yeah,
so you're probably right. I probably should have gone more heavier into Thebe.
I mean, I didn't have a lot of troops to invade with. I'm probably not going to leave Sparta empty to invade Abydos, right? So I would, and so I'm, may have invaded with 2 or 3, but there's always a chance of losing in the naval battle and having your troops sniped. So
you could have gone all in with say Sparta, where you have your 3 ships, and you could have just dropped 3 troops in there and then just tried to go for it.
Yeah, for sure.
But that would have been pretty. It would have been, either it's a do or die there.
Yes, but there could have been supply by sea and all that stuff to maintain your holdings. But I had no cards left. This was the problem.
Yeah.
So this was. So
now, what did you do for cards here?
So
I'm trying to remember here.
Yeah, let's see here. So I'm going to flip this. So I bought 3 cards.
Okay.
And I got...
and then you got your 3 troops on the board.
Themistocles. I got trireme, which is a good one. Like, I could do 2 naval movements. I'm like, ooh. So I could snipe that one lone fleet there and then bounce to either Thebai or Abydos.
Oh, man. That would have been great.
And if I sniped Abydos, then that would have put you would have had to keep a large troop contingent back, and that would have been very good. But I only needed 3 talents to maximize my army anyway. So
interesting that you went all down. Okay, so you went into Corinth there.
Well, here's my thinking is that was the next, because you had that big force in Abydos, or heck, even from your other territory here, Ephesus, because you could have run that entire road all the way into Corinthos. So if I'd put them in Athens, then you would have just attacked Corinthos.
And Corinthos kind of connects to both anyway.
Yeah, and you could have attacked it with some strength, but I would have had to restore that connection. So I thought, well, I'll go there, and that'll dissuade you from going there. So if you attack Athens, that's okay. I can counterattack with Corinthos with a reasonably good force. So I thought that kind of locked down your options.
Okay.
In that sense. So that's where I went. So we'll flip the board here. And your first move was ostracism.
Right.
And I was forced to discard my trireme, the naval movement one, to attack your navy.
Yes, which is one that you were just talking about that you were kind of hoping to use. So that was actually a pretty fortuitous random draw out of your hand there.
And so it left me with 2 cards to your 3. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to see if I can attack here. And I'm going to attack from Corinthos into Thebai, because essentially it works out to be the same, right? You end up it's a choke point. So I thought, well, I'll attack. We ended up losing 1 each, which wasn't ideal.
That wasn't terrible. Yeah.
So it left. I was at some reasonable strength, but then you played the Great King to attack from there, and you went all in on Thebai.
Well, no, because you didn't have any strength in Spartan or Athens. And I just thought, you know what? I mean, not to come over and attack me, really. Yeah. You possibly could have. That would have really been damaging, but...
it could have gone awry, but so anyway, so you did the battle, and I ended up retreating back because I didn't want to take that other loss because I'd already lost 2 troops. And again, as a Greek, every troop you lose means that's 1 less card you can buy, right? Because you got to replace them. So
exactly.
So anyway, so
you passed.
I passed on
with down to 1 card.
Yep. And so you followed up with
another movement.
And
here's where I thought, you know what, I'm going to start taking some islands here.
Yeah, that was fine. That was a good move. I looking back on this game, I wonder if I should have struck Abydos at this.
Oh, that would have just been disastrous.
I mean, even if I went all in with like 2 troops from Sparta, I'm wondering if that was actually the better move.
You may have pulled it off, but you had to get through the 2 ships.
Yes, it was a risk for sure.
And then you had to get through the 2 land troops. And what my thought was, I just wanted one of my ships to sink one of yours, because that would have just been,
yes,
then it would have been 2-on-1 on the land battle. So
yeah, and 2-on-1, because on your own home territory you can get a hit you can roll up to 5.
It's an extra bonus. Okay.
It's an extra bonus. And so yes, it gives me. I've only got a slight edge in your homeland there. So it was, if that had happened, that would have been a very risky kind of play.
Does that include the water surrounding?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
So
okay, interesting.
Yeah, so you played this for movement, and you took another fleet and dropped them off in Naxos. And this is where I realized, oh boy, I'm in trouble.
It was right here.
Yeah, it was right here.
Yeah. And actually, that was where I thought the same thing. I'm like, I think I might have this, because he's got a lot to claw back.
And this was the thing. This was all the fleets that I could get back. And again, in retrospect, I think probably I should have gone into Abydos. It was a desperation play, but I think that would have been a potentially great one, because if I could cut off the supply to those other territories and take Abydos, that would have flipped the game around. But instead, for whatever reason, I chose to pass and hold on to the card to the next turn. And really,
I think you were trying to restock your hand.
Yeah. Well, because the game was, I just felt like, the game had been even, but now I was like getting out of control. Like you were up by 5, and I thought, oh my gosh. But that, in retrospect, I should have gone for Abydos.
I mean, the only other option I could see for you is possibly like going in and attacking. Actually, you know what? A fleet. Oh, a fleet to Pella. And
that was another option. And
if you had taken, like, from Athens there, taken a fleet over,
yeah. Well, I probably would have gone more all in. I probably would have moved,
taken 2 fleets,
both troops.
I think that would have that would have crushed me too, because I would have lost 3.
Yes. Now, interestingly, you would have still been, or we would have been even. If I'd done that, so it would have kept the score at 0. So yeah, it probably was not the best choice, but I thought, you know what, I like the support from Syracuse. I want to have that flexibility, and I only needed to replace. I could spend like the full 3 or 4 on cards for the next round. I thought, you know what, I'll figure something out. So that's what I was thinking. So you drew up to 5 cards, and one of them was a sudden death of the
Great King,
which ended the last campaign early. And that was my miscalculation. So I mean, the game was in hand for you, but if I had attacked, as you said, Pella or Abydos, I bet you I could have at least it would have been a tie, or you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been the dramatic loss that I took. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Now, just out of curiosity, did you have a plan for how many you were going to draw here? Like, were you going to go for a lot of cards, or like even 3 and 3, or what were you thinking?
I was probably going to buy 4 and see how they ended up. But I think I should have been a little bit more aggressive early, because the thing is, you could buy up replace your troops, right, and get everything built up and so forth. But no, I just felt like the game was, you were in very much in control of the game, even if you just held your ground.
That's not easy to do though. The provinces, are up in the sort of the northeast there. Those are tough to hold.
But all you had to really do though is reinforce Pella and Abydos, and there wasn't much I could do, because again, I've only got maybe three cards, maybe 3 or maximum 4 cards.
Mm-hmm.
So there just wasn't a lot for me to do.
And once you're kind of spread out, as much as I was with Persia, there's too many threat potentials for you to you can't possibly have enough troops in all spots to deal with all the incoming threats, right? So
as strong as the Greek hoplites, the phalanxes are, they still lose from time to time. It's not a guarantee.
It's no guarantee. No.
I could have gone on the rampage and retaken Thebai and Larissa, but I would have had to roll well. And so, So as I'm looking at the game again, you're right. I should have gone to take Pella at minimum.
I think Pella, or like you said, Abydos
would have been the high risk, high reward one.
Yeah, that would have really sealed some deals. Yeah. But your Pella was like easy pickings.
Yes, it was. So that was my my oversight there. I for some reason I got really focused on the support from Syracuse card. Right. And really, as I'm looking at it now, I'm thinking, well, why would I hang on to this card? Because I want to replace my fleets for free, which is great, but it's too late in the game for that. So
yeah,
it wouldn't have made that drastic
you
difference.
Had tried that earlier in the game, and you really liked. I think you liked the kind of the momentum it gave you.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
And it's free ships back, right? So why not?
Yeah,
but you're right. It sort of does come at a cost of, now that actually it probably lost you the game, actually, to be honest.
Yep, I think it did. That obsession with that card.
Yes, you have to just be careful where you want to.
Yeah, so it would have been if I'd attacked Pella, and if I'd won Pella, then it would have been for the tie. And if I'd gone for Abydos, the way it turned out, that would have been for the win, as it turned out. So,
right.
So anyway, hope our viewers enjoyed watching this game. The funny thing is, I think it took longer to explain than it actually did to play.
That's true. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this game. I'm glad we discovered it on Rally of the Troops, and we're looking forward to the next playthrough. We're starting to look at Hammer of the Scots as one on the horizon here.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much for watching. Please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe down below.
This has been Legendary Tactics.